It is such a pleasure to be here, and Apostolos, it's an honor to be part of this. I think I was at the very first SAFETY4SEA Conference, and the vision that Apostolos had then was extraordinary, and to see it played out into an empire has been quite a wonderful thing to watch, and now a wonderful thing to be part of today. So I thank you all for showing up. I thank you for getting up early or leaving your offices in order to come and join us. And I was asked to talk about sustainability and shipping, and this is something that I feel passionately about because I'm passionate about our industry. And we're entering an era of change, but also there's opportunity. And I'm going to talk about some of the challenges that we're facing today, but I also want to talk about the opportunity, and I'll try to use as much of my time for that as possible. Oops. And do I just do this? How do I change forward? Oh, there we go. I don't think you need me to tell you that we are experiencing an age of global trends and disruptions that has never been seen in recorded history. And not only is this disruption occurring and this change is occurring, but it's occurring at an unprecedented and accelerated rate. And this is as disruptive as changing from sail to steam. But instead of doing it in the space of 40 years, we're being asked to do it in about 10. It's also as disruptive as the introduction of the container, which revolutionized bulk shipping. Shipping, as we know, connects the globe. And today we have ships of all shapes and sizes carrying every sort of cargo to ports that look different all around the world. But shipping and ports are under stress today. We are experiencing the longest shipping recession since 1845. I used to say the longest shipping recession in recorded history, but Martin Stopford corrected me. It's only been since 1845. And the changes in global trade are profound. It continues to grow and grow and grow, with the estimate for 2015 being we're carrying 10 billion tons of cargo. But also we have to look at the changes in global population. In 1990, we had a global population of 5.3 billion. In 2015, it was 7.3 billion, and it's projected in 2050 to be 9.7 billion. Think about that. Those people are consumers. We are going to bring cargo to market to satisfy their needs. We're also having changes in routes. I think it is important for all of us to look at the One Belt, One Road strategy, because even though on this it is just reflecting Asia and Europe and Africa, there is a movement that is bringing it around the globe. I don't know how many of you saw that there's now a polar Silk Road that has been identified by the Chinese government, and also the acquisitions and investments that they're making. There's a daisy chain going around the world, and it's going to change our patterns of trade. Look at the acquisition of natural resources in Africa. The Chinese have actually bought a lot of the natural resources in countries around Africa. Now they're building the infrastructure to extract those resources and the infrastructure in order to transport them. Pay attention. This is going to be an enormous market with an enormous amount of trade and ton miles. But we don't know who's going to get those ton miles, do we? Also, the impacts of technology. Fleet and port efficiency equals digitalization in today's world. We also have advances in communications. Real time is really here. Also, increasing automation afloat. You're all starting to read about automation, and there's a project up in Norway where there will be a fully autonomous, unmanned vessel going between 3 ports starting in 2020. The size of ships is going to be extraordinary. Currently, our largest ships are about 23,500 TEU. It is expected by 2050 to be at 50,000 TEU, double the size of today's ships. We have emerging risks. Cybersecurity is chief among them. You can't go a day without seeing another example of a cyber attack Most recently in the shipping industry, the Port of San Diego experienced one. We had Costco over the summer. A year ago, it was the Maersk Petya attack. This is affecting shipping. The more connected we are, the more vulnerable we are, and it's important to be prepared for that. New transactional tools, blockchain, blockchain, blockchain. There's a bit of denial about the application of blockchain to transactions in the shipping arena, but every day, too, we're seeing more examples of how it's being used in container shipping, how it's been used in dry bulk. If I were a broker right now, I'd be trying to figure out how I could add value to this industry because my world is about to change. But we're also experiencing what I call a regulatory tsunami. We've got the ECA areas, the emission control areas of 0.1% sulfur, you know, North America, North Sea, Baltic. It's coming to the Mediterranean. The EU's program for MRV, monitoring, reporting, and verification, which started in January of this year. The IMO's program of data collection system, which is going to start in January of next year. We have the 0.5% sulfur cap in January of 2020. I'm sure none of you have heard about that. The 50% of reduction of GHGs. We are developing a strategy that needs to be published in 2023 for a reduction of 50% of our GHGs by 2050 over 2008 levels. I know we're focusing on 2020 right now because that's 15 months away. But pay attention to 2023. We all need to be working together to develop that strategy, because if we don't do it, it will be done to us, and I don't think that's a position shipping wants to be in. The use of heavy fuel oil in the Arctic is being scrutinized, and I wouldn't be surprised if they matched the Antarctic ban on heavy fuel. And we've also, of course, got ballast water that came into ratification last September, and we've got tight deadlines on implementation of that. So, why now? Why are we focusing on all of these regulations right now? Well, people are affected by emissions, and there are changes in our planet. The shrinking of the Arctic, the polar cap is obvious. Changes in environmental activism. The public drives government, the government drives us. We've got round-the-clock, 24/7 news, so if you sneeze in Piraeus, it will be heard around the world. And government's growing role, for instance, the Paris Climate Change Accord, although this visual might not be the most appropriate one. Shipping has to bear its responsibility, and we are bearing our responsibility. The global sulfur cap is a reality. There is no question about it. But look at the advances we've made. We went from 4.5% in 2005 to 3.5% in 2012 to 0.5% in 2020. We're still working out how we're going to do it for 2020, but it is happening, and the IMO continues to reinforce that. Also, developing the strategy for GHG reduction. The target's been established, but we have to work collaboratively to develop that strategy. Shipping needs to be at that table so that we can come up with a practical strategy. None of this should be a surprise to us. None of this should be a surprise to us. The agreement on the sulfur cap came in 2008. The question mark whether it was going to happen in 2020 or 2025. International pressure required us to look at it for 2020. Also, we have to remember shipping was the first globally regulated industry on emissions. It was developed at the 1997 MARPOL Convention is when we came up with the discussion on CO2. So again, no surprises here. But we've also been developing tools. We've developed scrubbers. We're looking at compliant fuels and new fuels. LNG is an option. Battery hybrid is an option. But there is clearly going to be a shift away from fossil fuels. You'll see there sail rotors. I am now a convert to sail rotors. I'm not a convert yet to having a spinnaker in front of a ship, because I still don't see that. But a sail rotor, I see how we can reduce the drag on engines and increase efficiency. We've got wind turbines, solar panels. We're looking at them all. We're also looking at compact nuclear fusion. This is a project being developed by Lockheed Martin at MIT. And it'll be interesting to see where that goes. We have an opportunity to be proactive rather than reactive. Alan Andrews from the Clean Air Project stated, clean air is fundamental to healthy human life. And that's something we need to preserve. Also, we have the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We need to conserve and sustainably use the ocean, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. But here's where the opportunity comes into play. Currently, there is no silver bullet for reducing GHGs in shipping. There is no silver bullet. There is no one solution. LNG is a bridging fuel. Methane, you have to look at the net environmental impact, and of course the U.S. just rolled back its regulations on controlling methane leaks. Nuclear, public acceptance, we shall come to see. Battery and hybrids, they work for short hauls. I don't see them working for long voyages yet. Hydrogen, there's the issue of scalability. Again, for deep sea, we're not there yet. And a combination of technologies isn't feasible from an operational standpoint. We don't have, a Chinese menu where you take one from column A, one from column B, one from column C, one from column D, and string them all together. From an operational standpoint, I don't believe that's feasible. But we have more opportunities. We need to look at opportunities for measuring outputs, monitoring compliance, reporting of activities. We've built the regulations, but have we worked on the enforcement policies? Training, communications, digitalization, and automation. There's a lot of opportunity there. I've got 19 seconds. We also have to look in terms of sustainability at our next generations, meeting millennial and Gen X expectations, for instance, for work-life balance, and accepting more women into our industry. It's been proven through research that having a woman on your board of directors will increase your profits by 26%. So, yes. And who doesn't want to make money? So NAMEPA are your partners in growth, change, and sustainability. We help identify the balance between commerce and conservation. But why NAMEPA? We're hands-on, we're proactive, we're engaged, and above all, we're here to help save our seas. Thank you so much for your attention, and I appreciate your time.